Shalom, it's Tehila from the Kifar. Welcome back to my channel. This is the place to be to learn Hebrew online, and you can visit thekifar.com/Hebrew if you want to learn more. So this is a quick video just to walk you through my Learn Hebrew Through Stories course, so you can see what it looks like on the student end. The course is hosted through Teachable, so you can access it from any computer. They do also have an app. It's only available right now for iPhones. Hopefully they'll come out with an Android version too. But if you do have an iPhone, then you can also download the app and you can take the course with you on the go. You can preview the first unit completely for free. I'm going to show you now a couple of the other units. The layouts are pretty much the same, but I'll show you as we go through it. Okay, let's start. So the first unit that I'm going to show you is Unit 3. Every unit is centered around a story, and it starts with just the root that's being highlighted in that story. And it follows the order that they're being presented in my Hebrew root series here on YouTube. So it gives you the focus root and the same map that you see in those videos. After the focus root, we have a pre-reading video. So it's sort of like a preview of the story before we get into the story itself. So the preview is a lot more visual. It also has the translations right up on the screen, and it is color coded. And all of the vocabulary and everything that you'll see here in the pre-reading, so this sort of introduction to the story, is also going to be present in the story itself. Once you get through this video, then you can go in and read the actual story from start to finish in the next video. So these pre-reading videos, it's sort of like eases you into the story. And so these are for the first 4 units. And then after unit 4, it'll just be the story itself. So that's one of the differences in the units. Okay, so once the pre-reading is complete, you'll have the story. The story also comes with the transcript, the translation, and the vocabulary list. And I'll show you that in a second. And then is the story itself as a video, and it also is provided as an audio. If you just want to listen to the story without the visual, that's an option as well. And here you can see the transcript of the story, the translation in English, Hebrew without Nikud, and Hebrew with Nikud. And then is another tab with the vocabulary, again in English, in Hebrew without Nikud, and with Nikud. So you can print this, use it as a reference, use it to read along as you're listening and watching the story. It's available to you. So after the video, after the story, is the notes and grammar section, and it features selected slides and explains some of the grammar features that are present in the story. Okay, and it'll often, especially as you move on through the story, it'll reference things that you learned or things that you heard in previous stories. After the grammar, you have flashcards, and this is hosted using Quizlet. And check out the video, I've linked it above, on ways that you can use Quizlet, all of the different activity options. So you can go through them just as flashcards, or you can choose a study mode and pick a different way to go through these words. And again, check out the video that I have on Quizlet, and that'll walk you through this in detail. So all of the stories have a minimum of 5 basic exercises. And then as you progress through, there are bonus exercises here and there, and I'll show you an example of that a little bit later. So the first exercise is a quiz, a reading comprehension quiz. For the first several stories, the quiz questions are in English. And the reason why they're in English is because the purpose of the quiz is to measure your comprehension of the story. If the questions were provided in Hebrew, and let's say, for instance, you get a question wrong, I don't know if you got the question wrong because you didn't understand the story, or if you got the question wrong because you didn't understand the question. So if I want to measure comprehension, and this is across the board in language teaching, the best way to measure comprehension, especially at beginner levels, is to ask the questions in the student's native language. Okay, so the first several quizzes, the questions are in English, and then it eases into true or false, and that's in Hebrew, and then it eases slowly into a mix of Hebrew and English questions, and then eventually it'll just go just to the Hebrew. Okay, so just to see what that looks like. So again, the questions are in English, just to make sure that you are understanding the story. Okay, so the second activity is a vocabulary match. So for all of the stories, there is a maximum of 50 new words that are introduced into every story. And for most of them, it's even less than that. So for instance, with this one, this story is written with 35 new words. So with the exception of those 35 new words, all of the other words were present in either stories 1 or 2, because this is story 3. Now, of all of those vocabulary words, we highlight 15 specific ones in every unit, and those are the ones that are featured in the vocabulary exercise. It gives you the English word that comes across the top, and you match the English word to its Hebrew translation. Okay. And so the third exercise is a translation exercise. It gives you sentences in Hebrew that you listen to, and then you match the Hebrew sentence that you listen to with the English written translation. And so I added this exercise because I know one of the challenges for Hebrew learners is listening. If you read a sentence, in many cases, you'll know what it says when you read it. But if you hear it, it takes a while for you to understand what it is that's being said, even if there are words that you are familiar with. And I'll just show you what this looks like. You would just click on the speaker to hear the sentence in Hebrew, and then here are the English translations, and you would just click the box and click the box to make that match. The fourth exercise is to fill in the missing words from the story. And the audio is here again, so you can listen to the story while you complete the exercise, if that helps you fill it in. Okay, and this is what it looks like on the full screen. And you'll notice that there is a mix of words that do have nikud and that do not have nikud. So any of the words that were introduced in this story will have the nikud. And again, this is the same exact story from the videos. And then anything that was introduced in previous stories will not have the nikud. And so the fifth and final exercise, and I say final, assuming that there are no bonus exercises, the fifth exercise gives you sentences to unscramble. And this helps with learning Hebrew sentence structure and figuring out the order in which you put words in Hebrew. Okay, so you just click on the word and drag it wherever you think that it belongs. So as you see, once you put the word in the right order, that's when you'll see the color. Okay, and then every unit ends with a final reading of the story that is read at a normal speaking pace by an Israeli native Hebrew speaker. The first story reading is read at a slower pace, and that's done by me. And the final one is done by an Israeli native Hebrew speaker. Okay, that way you get a faster pace, you get a different accent. And it also, again, helps with the challenge of being able to understand Hebrew that you hear as opposed to just Hebrew that you read. So each unit also includes a space for questions. So if you go through the story and you still have questions about something, you can leave them here and the questions are answered. Okay, so that basically is the breakdown of a unit. There are a couple of additional things that I want to show you that you are going to see and encounter as you move further along in the stories. The first is there is a review unit that's done after every 4 stories. So you'll have stories 1 through 4, and then you'll have your first review, and then stories 5 through 8, and then you'll have your next review, and so on and so forth. And so one of the other things that you will start to see starting with story 8 is a bonus video that describes the main character or the main characters of the story. So in the first few videos, it'll just describe them physically, how they look and what they're wearing. It'll help you, again, continue to develop your Hebrew listening skills. It'll also teach you some of that extra vocabulary like clothes and colors and body parts and things that don't naturally come up in the stories, but they're still important to know. The last thing that I wanted to show you is from story 10 and on. The grammar and the notes section change from just being the snapshots of some of the slides with the written explanations to an interactive video format. So you'll have the video essentially twice. The first one is just the story being read, and the second one has the grammar notes and the explanations along with some questions built into the video. So this is an example from story number 13. Here down at the bottom, you see these dots and circles. So each of these dots represents a note on the grammar, and I'll show you an example in a second. And each of these circles represents a question or a quick exercise to complete. So for instance, the first circle or the first exercise is how would you say she had? Okay, based on this, she didn't have, and it gives you your various options. And it's self-correct. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and get this wrong. It'll let you know that you got it wrong, and it'll also highlight what the correct answer is. Here's an example of one of the notes. You just click on it and it gives you the information right there on the screen. Okay, so that is it for this rundown of my Learn Hebrew Through Stories course. I'll put the link in the video description so that you can check out the first unit. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you for the next video. Litraot.